want to take just a minute for 1 minute of silence and send our prayers to the Knight family who went through a terrible tragedy this afternoon here in Teaneck. Just take a minute of silence, please. Thank you. Actually, there's a whole lot of folks from the Northeast who are going to be here tonight that are actually grieving in our town. Bergen Grassroots is an organization that has important goals in terms of transparency and trying to make sure that the way in which the government functions is not only open but also fair and carries out its activities in a fair and competitive way. But in terms of Republicans, Democrats, and third-party candidates, we are completely nonpartisan, and I hope that what you see tonight is a reflection of precisely those values and those commitments. We have had several of these forums in the past. Last year was a really interesting year because it not only had the freeholder candidates, but it also had the county executive. But the task of choosing 3 freeholders from 8 candidates, 2 of whom are third-party candidates, one of whom we will only hear from by virtue of his statement tonight, is a difficult and more challenge for the electorate, because not only are you choosing 3 people, but you're doing it for different lengths of terms. I want to be sure that you understand who these people are. So as they speak tonight, even though we will be calling on them in an equal way, you know that 4 of them are competing for 2 positions for 3-year terms, beginning in January. And 3 of them are competing for 1 position for 1 year to finish the term of James Tedesco, who became the county executive here. So that threesome over there is the 1-year term, and this foursome here is the 2-year term. This foursome here is the 3-year term. Thank you. What I'd like to do now is turn the process of vetting these candidates, who need to tell you what their party affiliations are in the course of their statement, to my colleague and member of the steering committee, Cliff Lewis.
Okay. All right, Mr. Rorman, would you like to begin your first 2-minute statement?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Yes. My name is Peter Rorman. I'm the Libertarian candidate for Bergen County Freeholder, going for the 1-year unexpired term. I'm a lifelong resident of Bergen County, lived here my whole life. I have ancestry that stretches back about 100 years in this county. I began my public service on my 18th birthday, serving with my local fire department in Crosstown, right here in Bergen County. I also spent 6 years in the United States Marine Corps as a rifleman serving through Desert Storm. It was a highlight of my life, one of the highlights of my life. The Marine Corps head identified me early in my enlistment to be selected as a high-level leader in the Marine Corps. They appointed me to officer candidate school, where I graduated in the top 5% of my class. In addition to that service, the past 20 years, I've used most of my spare time teaching the youth of Bergen County football and wrestling through 5 different communities of Bergen County. The main issues here in Bergen County in this race are spending, taxes, and the credibility of the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. I'm running in this race mostly because I feel like a disenfranchised voter. I feel as if no one in government is representing me. I'm a libertarian. I believe in small government. I'm fiscally conservative. I'm socially tolerant. And I don't see anyone in government representing my political thoughts. Thank you.
Hey, Mr. Sullivan, would you like to give your statement, please?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I don't know if you can hear me.
No, we can't hear you.
You can just take it out of the, hell there. There you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Sullivan. I'm also a lifelong Bergen County resident, and I've had the honor of serving my community as a freeholder since January of 2015. I was appointed to take the place of our county executive, James Tedesco, and I'm running for freeholder because I believe in the future of Bergen County, and I'd like to get back to the community that has served my family and I so well. I have always volunteered my time, either serving on local boards, school projects, or coaching our children. Previously, I've served on 2 different town councils in Bergen County. From 1998 to 2002, I served Bergenfield as a councilman, including being the council president in 2001. After moving to Montville, where I currently live with my wife and 3 daughters, I was elected to serve as a councilman from 2005 through 2007. I am currently a member of the IBW Local 164 Electricians Union, where I serve as its president and business representative. In my role as freeholder, I have worked well with my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, as well as with the county executive. For example, we've passed a bipartisan, unanimous budget this year while addressing specific needs of the county. One of the most pressing needs of the county is the heroin epidemic, which has no geographical or socioeconomic boundaries. We have been able to raise awareness through educational programs, including my co-sponsorship of a resolution with freeholder Maura Di Nicola, which encouraged real estate professionals to lock up their clients' medicine cabinets, during open house showings. While working with my colleagues, freeholders Zort and Voss, we petitioned Bergen County Regional Medical Center to expand their detox unit. Thankfully, they've agreed to this, adding 10 additional beds, while planning for more in this foreseeable future. If elected, I would like to expand our opportunities to use our vocational schools and to promote apprenticeship programs to ensure a living wage for those who prefer to learn a trade. I would also like to see the county continue to generate creative ways to engage in shared services that make sense for the county, for the municipality, and the taxpayer. I want to thank Bergen Grassroots for giving me the opportunity tonight. I look forward to an informative debate this evening, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that it is my daughter Jaden's 13th birthday, and I want to wish her a happy birthday tonight. Thank you.
Please welcome Daisy Ortiz-Berger.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much, Grassroots Organization, for inviting me and for setting this up for all of us to learn about us as candidates and make an educated choice in your selection November 3rd. I'll just be very brief on my background because I'm just a young mom with 2 young children that are still not in the school system, 2 and 4. I've worked all my life in corporate America, and I'm not a politician, but I will be come November 3rd. One of the reasons that I am running is because as a young mom moving into Bergen County, you aspire to live in a place where you can raise your children, feel proud of the environment that they're in, and that they get the best education. But as a young mom, you also understand that it's expensive to live in Bergen County. So I am passionate about doing the right things for everyone in Bergen County, but especially those young families that move here and aspire to live here, and then after several years of getting tax hikes and other issues in their towns, they decided they have to move out because they can't afford to no longer live here or raise their families. I think I wanted to ask a question because are we supposed to ask the question?
No.
Just introduction.
We'll come back to that.
Okay. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Please welcome incumbent freeholder Tracy Zuhr.
Thank you so much. Good evening. I want to thank Bergen Grassroots, not just for sponsoring this debate, but for continually being engaged on so many issues throughout the county. The emphasis that you put on dialogue, on thoroughly exploring the intricacies of policy, and on showcasing it really enable clear thought out decisions to be made. You do a tremendous service to our community. I've been extremely honored over these last 3 years to serve as one of your Bergen County freeholders. As a judge and a prosecutor, I made impacts one case at a time, but as your representative, I'm really humbled to be able to help people directly and influence the direction of our community. I rolled up my sleeves to be engaged in every detail of policy and worked diligently to represent the interests of Bergen County residents. 3 years ago, Steve and I put out an 11-point plan when we ran for office and laid out a vision of the direction that we wanted to move our county. And every single day we worked to move the ball down the field. We've accomplished nearly everything on that list, and we made impacts in so many other areas that we couldn't have even anticipated 3 years ago. We not only realigned the county police and county sheriff, which is the largest single tax-saving measure in Bergen County history, but we did so without hurting a single officer in the process. We made sure that our pay-to-play ordinance could both withstand constitutional challenge and kept the influence of campaign contributions out of government. I've been an advocate for those with disabilities and been relentless on issues regarding Bergen Regional Medical Center, whether it's been pushing for more resources for drug treatment or ensuring the safety of our employees. We've restored services for veterans, worked for more shared services, data-driven decision-making, improvements in transportation. We've done all this, yet we've consistently scrutinized every single dollar spent. We delivered a zero tax increase and slashed $7 million in the proposed budget in 2014 and cut over $1 million from the proposed plan last year. We've prudently invested in our infrastructure and restored deep cuts that were made to education, both key moves to ensuring the future growth of our county. There's still a lot to do. We have the direction of Bergen Regional Medical Center to plan, a heroin epidemic to tackle, infrastructure to address, and so much more. I sit here this evening energized to continue to move Bergen County forward. I've lived in this county my entire life. My husband Bobby and I are parents to 3 wonderful kids, and they motivate me to make our community better. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to do so.
And now we have the incumbent freeholder, Steve Tonelli.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I would first like to thank the Bergen Grassroots for hosting this forum. I'd like to thank each of the candidates that agreed to participate. And I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and taking an interest in this year's important freeholder race. I first got involved in my community as a coach in my town's recreation department, ultimately becoming a commissioner and a town recreation director. I had the honor of serving North Arlington for 9 years as a council president and acting mayor. My entrance into government and politics came when I started advocating on behalf of my neighbors to stop a corrupt in-cap development project. At the time, I supported and worked with the slate that opposed the Democratic establishment who had taken campaign contributions from the developer. So for years, I've been fighting pay-to-play politics, and I've always appreciated the advocacy of this organization. And as promised, the county has a pay-to-play ordinance in place, one that's been cleaned up so it can withstand any court challenge. You have my continued commitment to maintain the pay-to-play restriction that currently stands on the county level. I have a sense of putting people first. I believe we all have an obligation to care, volunteer, and help each other. I believe government needs to provide a social safety net, as well as vital services such as public safety, expanded opportunities for our children, and caring for our seniors. I'm a Democrat who will compromise with Republicans for the public good, but will never forget my values and principles. I hope to earn your continued support this November and look forward to having the opportunity to continue to serve as your freeholder. Thank you.
Now please welcome incumbent freeholder John Mitchell.
Former freeholder,
I stand corrected.
but soon to be an incumbent. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I too want to thank Bergen Grassroots for putting together this important forum this evening to hear our views. My background is I'm a retired utility executive. I have 2 major functions while I worked at Con Edison. My first function I'd like to talk about is I was the manager of outreach and education, and my job was to be the advocate for the public to a large company like Con Edison to talk about the elderly, the blind, disabled, and those suffering from HIV/AIDS. I transferred for that into another project in which I was focused on environmental issues and particularly pushing the utility to be more environmentally focused through energy efficiency. My job as vice president was to push issues such as for the larger buildings, get people involved with better lighting motors, HVAC, solar, and also I pushed the big thing about
selling and providing what they call green electrons, which is electricity, generated by either wind or solar. During my time as a freeholder, I'm very proud to point to the fact that we actually cut the budget from the previous year. It was the first time it was ever done. And it not only cut the budget, but we actually made reductions compared to the previous year, which had never been done. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to come back and serve you as a freeholder. In my life, I have 5 children and 3 grandchildren so far, and believe me, the so far only applies to the 3 grandchildren. But in any event, I welcome the opportunity to come here. I commend everybody that's up on this podium tonight, because it's not easy to get up here and speak to a large crowd like this. And I appreciate your coming out tonight, and God bless you all.
And now please welcome Ken Dvorsky.
Hi. First, I'd like to thank the Bergen Grassroots for putting on this event and for hosting the debate. I'd also like to thank everybody in the audience who came out tonight. I know there was a little bit of traffic on 208 and Route 4 in getting over here. My background, I am originally from Garfield, New Jersey. Spent the first 24 years of my life there before I met my soon-to-be wife. We moved to Somerset, New Jersey for a couple of years and then moved to Ramsey, New Jersey. In Ramsey, I'm currently a councilman. I've been a councilman for the past 5 years. I chair the Building, Planning, and Zoning Committee. I am the current chair for the Utilities, Buildings, and Grounds Committee. Been a member of the Finance Committee, Health Department, everything. You name it, I've kind of done it in town. My background is I'm a graduate of St. Peter's College. I've got a master's from the Stevens Institute of Technology in Hoboken. I am married to my wife. It'll be 14 years this October 20th, and I have 2 children. The reason I got involved in politics is I wanted to find out basically where all of my tax dollars went. So after several weeks of complaining about my tax bill, my wife said, well, why don't you stop complaining and do something about it? So that was my foray into getting involved into local clubs and local government, just to find out where everything's going. That sparked an interest in being a member of the council, and that's also sparked my interest in becoming a member of the Freeholder Board. I want to know where every one of those tax dollars goes. I'm sure you do. I want to make sure that the roads are kept up to date. I want to make sure the infrastructure is kept up to date. I want to make sure that we're doing the right things for the people of Bergen County. And thank you.
This is a written statement of a candidate for Freeholder who could not be here tonight. Statement by Rich Siegel, Green Party candidate for Bergen County Freeholder. Greetings to all. I regret that I'm not able to be with you personally. My teaching schedule at Crestwood Music Education Center includes Thursday evenings. By way of introduction, my name is Rich Siegel. I grew up in neighboring Rockland County, New York. My wife, Gu Xuan, and I have been living in Teaneck since 1999. We have a 10-year-old daughter, Emily. I'm employed at the above-mentioned music school and also serve as music director at Unity Church in Montclair. I also have an active career as a freelance musician and music educator. My wife works in risk management at Covanta Energy in Morristown. She is a native of Beijing, China. My political awareness dates back to childhood, when my parents used to take me and my brother to demonstrations against the war in Vietnam. As an adult, my focus has been on the Israel-Palestine issue. I have long felt that as a Jewish supporter of the Palestinian cause, it has been important for me to speak out. The Israeli ethnic cleansing of Palestine must end, and it will not end with continued American support. I was a registered Democrat for most of my adult life. Increasingly, I found that I was holding my nose while voting Democratic just to vote against the Republicans. It got to a critical point with me in the 2008 presidential election, witnessing Obama's fawning speech at AIPAC. I have been voting for Green Party and independent candidates ever since, have changed my voter registration to green, and I'm very pleased at this time to be running for office for the very first time ever as a Green Party candidate. My political activism, focused on supporting the Palestine cause locally, has demanded that I act on my own, since the local Peace and Justice Coalition would not touch the issue. In fact, they expelled me from membership and barred me from attending their meetings because I carried a sign at a demonstration calling our attack on Iraq as a war for Israel, and because I offered to bring a speaker on the Palestinian issue to a coalition meeting. When Teanet's congregation, B'nai Yeshurun, held a real estate event in their synagogue, selling illegal West Bank settlement homes directly to American Jews in violation of both international law and local anti-discrimination law, I single-handedly organized a very successful demonstration against it. I also organized a well-attended demonstration against the street fair celebration of the 60th anniversary of Israel's independence. Upon discovering that Teaneck had a sister city relationship with an illegal West Bank settlement, I organized against it and had the relationship shut down. I am against the eroves that the Orthodox Jewish community has put up in various locations, including my South Side Teaneck neighborhood, which is predominantly non-Jewish, because I feel that Orthodox Jews should not be permitted to impose officially religious areas on non-Jewish and secular Jewish neighborhoods. I was opposed to plans for a Jewish charter school, which is fortunately no longer planned. However, I have my radar out for any future plans. I am against charter schools generally, but specifically when they are used in order to circumvent constitutionally mandated separation of church and state. I stand with the Green Party platform on all relevant issues. I am committed to the cause of peace and feel strongly that the bogus, quote, war on terror, unquote, must cease on all fronts, and that all American military should be located inside American borders. I feel strongly American support for Israel must cease immediately. I consider myself an environmentalist and look forward to the day when the use of fossil fuels is history. I endorse changing over to renewable resources as quickly and efficiently as possible, especially to solar energy. I oppose introducing new fossil fuel infrastructure, including the proposed pipeline. I oppose the transport of flammable liquids by rail through our densely populated county, especially as the tracks cross over part of the Oradell Reservoir. If temporary continued transport is a fait accompli, then the trains must be made safer in the short term, but with the elimination of such transport the goal. I support funding for treatment for addicts, acknowledging the rise in heroin use in the county. However, I oppose our ongoing, quote, war on drugs, unquote, and feel strongly that all relevant substances need to be decriminalized, regulated, and taxed. The tainted heroin which has reached our streets is a direct result of our war on drugs, as this occurs when an underworld network takes over the drug trade in our current era of prohibition. As a taxpayer, I am very aware that our property tax rates are extremely high and hope to strive for a balanced approach to our budget that keeps necessary programs intact but does not include raising the property tax burden. That's my statement, and I thank you for your kind attention.